Wilkins and the Atlanta Hawks, these playoffs are a chance to prove they belong among the NBA elite. Their opening round success against Detroit was a testament to the steady play of unheralded players like Randy Whitman. And when it was over, the Pistons were knocked out by a young, exuberant group whose biggest challenge awaits them wearing Celtic green. For Larry Bird and the Celtics, the playoffs mean business as usual. These veterans rely less on emotion and more on the experience of knowing how to win. The Celtics may not have written the textbook on basketball, but no team executes better. They swept through their first round series like a team on a mission, and their next hurdle will be the upstart Hawks from Atlanta. The cool exterior of Celtics coach K.C. Jones reflects years of playoff experience. But for Mike Fratello and the Hawks, this is an opportunity to bask in the spotlight today in Boston. It's Game 1. From the sold-out Boston Garden, perhaps the toughest arena in all of sport for a visiting team, where the Celtics have lost only one time this year, it's the Celts and the Atlanta Hawks and Eastern Conference Semifinal Series. A look at the Eastern bracket. You can see that Milwaukee awaits the winner of the Washington-Philadelphia series. You'll see that decisive game coming up a bit later on CBS. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I am Brent Musburger. One thing to keep in mind now, we are into the best-of-7 configuration. You must win 4 times. The first 2 games of the Atlanta-Boston series here in the Garden, then they'll go down to Atlanta for the next 2. And a pleasure for me to welcome a man who is so familiar with the friendly confines of Boston Garden as a Philadelphia player and coach, Billy Cunningham. Billy?
Was Auerbach down here? You look at my mic, it's green. But I've experienced the greatest highs and the greatest lows in this building. As a matter of fact, I've seen some eggs, some light bulbs fly from the ceiling here. I've seen great fights. I've seen Red Auerbach running on the court, reprimanding Moses Malone. So I've experienced everything here.
I'll keep you safe here today.
Thank you.
Tell me about this Celtic team. Are they as good as, not as good as, or better than last year's edition?
I think they're better. With the addition of Walton insisting, that's a big plus because they've come in and complemented the situation here in Boston.
You know, Billy, we were impressed with Atlanta against Detroit, but they're 0-6 against the Celtics this year.
Yeah, but Brent, that's very misleading because they've only played once each other since January 18th. And another big factor is the largest victory margin for the Celtics was 7 points. One other point. Whitman has averaged almost 23 points in the last Detroit series. He averaged 6.8 points per game against the Celtics.
Well, Billy, one thing's for sure. The fans here in the Boston Garden will not be satisfied until championship banner number 16 hangs from the roof of the Garden. We're coming up in just a moment.
The NBA on CBS. Today's game from the Boston Garden is sponsored by Miller Beer, made the American way since 1855. Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by John Deere and your local John Deere dealer.
The Eastern Conference Semifinal Series about to begin. Here are the starting lineups now for the visitors from Atlanta. Up front, they have scoring punch. Dominique Wilkins led the league. They've got muscle. Kevin Willis, he's another 7-footer, and Tree Rollins. In the backcourt, watch Doc Rivers. He could be a key to the series. Randy Whitman, extremely intelligent. And, of course, their coach, Mike Fratello, who has done a splendid job. For the Boston Celtics, they have got the incomparable one up front. Larry Bird, headed for still another MVP. Kevin McHale at the other forward, and the Chief Robert Parish is the center. Then in the backcourt, Danny Ainge working alongside Dennis Johnson. These are the 5 men who are coached by K.C. Jones, and he has just the ideal personality for this experienced team. Mike Mathis and Hugh Evans will work it. Lee Jones is the alternate referee, and we are about ready to go. What should we watch for early in this game, Billy?
Okay, from the Atlanta standpoint, their big problem is getting themselves prepared. Mike Fratello, flying in from Detroit after a very emotional win, could not put in all the things he'd like to do in the way of adjustments. They'll look to pick up full court. They'll vary their defenses in the way they're going to look to attack the post-up people of the Boston Celtics. Boston, the number one thing is they're going to start McHale against Dominique Wilkins, and they'll look to double on him.
Dennis Johnson gets it to Bird, and he gets it back to DJ, and he was fouled. So our first personal foul of game 1 of this Eastern Conference semifinal, and Doc Rivers is assessed the personal, with Johnson stepping to the free throw line for a couple of shots. Doc Rivers, of course, played his high school basketball in Chicago, then attended Marquette, and he has done a superb job at directing this Hawk team on the floor.
going to be quite an adjustment for both teams, though, coming off the series they experienced. For example, Boston playing Chicago, who slowed the tempo, looked to go to a lot of isolation, did not post up much. Now they're playing against the Hawks, who are going to look to run as much as possible, and they do execute their set offense very well as a ball club.
Ainge picks up Rivers in the backcourt. Dominique Wilkins sends it back to Rivers. Rollins out high with the screen, and Rivers will use it.
Well, that's the shot he's going to have to hit. In the first series against Detroit, he was able to penetrate and create a lot of problems, but Ainge is going to back off and make him shoot that shot.
Jump pass to Parish. Willis with the interception. Hawks bring it down. Whitman from Indiana. He learned his lessons well from Bobby Knight. He's one of the smarter players in the NBA. Wilkins in and out. Third rebound. Ainge quickly to the attack for the Celtics. Bird at the top maneuvers. McHale going strong, and Willis battling him, and it's the Celtics with an offensive rebound and a second opportunity. It's Johnson gliding in, blocked by Rollins, but there was Bird who could not get it to fall, and it's McHale. And Parish and the Hawks are being out-hustled underneath right now.
Well, right there is going to be the biggest problem and the biggest concern for anybody that plays against the Celtics is the offensive boards. They just have those big people, and they pound the offensive boards so well.
In playing against Detroit, the Hawks faced a perimeter shooting team. Here, they face the interior muscle of the Boston Celtics, an entirely different kind of opponent. Whitman pulls the trigger, and he's off. But it's an offensive rebound for Wilkins. And he misfired. Parish is off to Johnson.
There's those big hands of McHale getting up there and forcing that tough shot.
Neither team shooting well at the beginning. Bird cleans it up. The rebounding statistics already will tell you the story. The Celtics are out-muscling the Hawks underneath. Look for Patella to substitute early in this game. Willis hits one at the top of the circle.
Coach Patella was hoping that he could get Willis involved in the offense very early and look to attack Larry Bird, who's playing against him. Right there was an example of just great movement without the basketball. Bird just cutting down the lane, and Dennis Johnson just aware of, just eye contact, aware of him going to cut down the lane.
That foul being assessed Dominique Wilkins, his first, Atlanta's second. And from the inbounds, Johnson holding outside. And now Bird backing in. Spins on Wilkins, missed the shot. And a loose ball foul. Bird reaching back in on Rollins. That's Bird's first.
That was an excellent job defensively by Dominique Wilkins. The Celtics look to isolate Bird right there. Now, during the course of the game, we will see the Hawks go back and double team Bird when he is in that position. But to start out with, they're playing it straight up.
Ainge taking Rivers, now backing off. They're going to give him that shot at the top. Wilkins, McHale watching him.
There's a mismatch. Willis has Dennis Johnson on him.
And McHale influenced that shot with his long arm. He also broke free on the wing, but the Celtics could not pick him up. Now they do. Oh, great fake, and he drew the foul on Willis.
McHale is as good as anybody in basketball. When he gets that ball in that post-up area, he just has so many moves. He can go to his left and shoot the hook shot. He can fall back with a fadeaway jump shot. Or there, you saw where he just had his defensive man commit himself and was able to draw the foul.
We talk about Coach of the Year, and we take K.C. Jones for granted. We just saw him having a word there with Danny Ainge. Here's a man who lost only 15 games this year. So when you talk about candidates for Coach of the Year, you put him down near the top. We take him for granted because of how much talent he has on this, but he blends it together. And ego, not a problem here in Boston.
Well, that's one of the problems when you have an exceptional team. People just expect certain things. They're not really aware of what it takes to get these guys to, get their egos and just have one concern, and that is to win.
Rollins went bumping the night, and a left-handed jam on Parish. And Mike Fratello needs some offense out of Rollins in this series, and he showed some strength.
That had to shock Parish.
Ainge from the perimeter.
Isn't that beautiful, that ball movement? They just make that extra pass at the offensive end of the court.
They keep that spacing, don't they? Willis with the miss, Parish off with the rebound. Celtics can open up a 4-point lead.
There's a mismatch. McHale's got Whitman.
Ainge to the left hand. Rivers checks behind him. Now you can see the Hawks get down a little slowly. Do not be surprised if they're exhausted, especially in the second half. They're coming off that grueling double overtime Friday night in Detroit. Willis using the glass well.
Excellent execution of the pick and roll.
On the turnover, it'll go to the Hawks, who can tie it. Bird was cutting toward the basket, and the ball was out in front of it.
I think another thing, Brent, we'll see Mike Fratello rotate his people a little bit earlier because of the fatigue factor, and he'll be watching them very, very closely.
Whitman, he will remind you of Bill Bradley when he gets some screens, the former Knick great who's now a U.S. Senator from New Jersey. And as Wilkins got inside the lane, he was fouled by Ainge.
You know, watching McHale, who was voted on the first team all-defensive ball club, the way he's playing Dominique Wilkins, he's just forcing him a step further out in the court, and then he's backing off, making sure that he stops that penetration, and then when he goes up for the shot, he just gets a hand up there to make it tough.
Wilkins. Billy, what about the rebounding? What can the Hawks do? They're being badly beaten here. Parish on an easy layup. And the defensive rebound down at the other end set it up.
Well, they're just going to have to get their guards. We know Glenn Rivers is an excellent rebounder from the guard position. They're just going to have everybody contribute on the boards against the Celtics.
Rivers missing, only one shot again for the Hawks. There's Parish breaking free. The crowd rising in the Boston Garden. Fratello complaining that Parish traveled at the other end. I happen to agree with Fratello, but it doesn't matter. We've got a timeout. We'll be right back. Yesterday, I'm sure that many of you watched as Houston came on strong in the second half to beat Denver 126-119. Hubie Brown predicted that Hakeem Olajuwon would have a good second half. He had a great one. 38 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 blocks. So you can see that Houston leads that series, and later today, some of you will get to see the Lakers and Dallas open up their series out. Hey, Billy C., what is this in the Boston Garden? Is this the little Celtic two-step they allow up here or something?
Well, he only took 4.5 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, dribble. Go ahead, Robert. Dunk the basketball. Hey,
Now, the story so far, Billy, is rebounding.
Absolutely. The Celtics have come out. You know, one of the concerns that Casey Jones had was that his team, knowing that the tough game that the Atlanta Hawks had on Friday night against Detroit, that would they take them a little lightly? And I asked him that, and he said, don't worry, I'll remind them tomorrow morning. And they've come out. Another point, though, is the Hawks are taking the quick shot. They're settling for the long perimeter shot. Dominique is trying to force things. He's got to take a deep breath and relax out there.
They get inside to Willis, who turns around over Bird, and the shot wouldn't go. He had it right there. Rivers, there they've got 2 offensive rebounds, and Rollins pounds it in.
Well, I think Coach Fratello got his point across, and that's the way he wanted to attack the Celtics to start out with, looking to go in to Willis against Larry Bird and make him work at the defensive end of the court.
Billy, the biggest change I saw there was that Rivers went to the glass hard as a guard.
Well, that can be very good when he gets the ball, but very bad if they don't, because that means an easy opportunity basket at the other end.
Rolls in for Bird.
No, the worst thing is, here's a guy that's a great shooter, and he gets the good bounces, too.
Whitman didn't use the screen to pull the trigger that time. Now he'll set up outside, bang one in.
That was excellent patience right there. There was a mismatch. Parish switched out on him, showed good patience. They tried to get it inside, and he had the good jump shot.
Willis got a hand on it, made the steal.
Now they have to capitalize on those turnovers.
Dominique looks for the open floor, makes the pass, and follows up.
That's where the Hawks have a big advantage athletically. They have some very talented athletes out there.
Billy, that was a good timeout for Coach Fratello.
Oh, it sure was, and he just settled his team down.
Bird missing on the short turnaround. Willis again with a rebound.
We have 2 outstanding coaches here today. Look at McHale, just stay down defensively, doesn't go for any of the fakes, plays the center of his body, always has that good defensive position.
Bird fronting Willis. Now he moves in behind him, and now he jumps in front again as the battle continues underneath, and Rivers short Parish.
That's just a bad shot. Should have shown more patience. Look to get the ball into Willis because they were trying to isolate him against Bird.
Coming through Bird as they frequently do.
You know, the interesting thing, Casey Jones wanted to go to Bird early in this game because they felt they had a mismatch against Dominique. Oh,
Wilkins misses. But again, the shot didn't fall. It was there. And off the fake, he improves and makes the pass to Parish. And that time, he is called for travel.
Tree Rollins looks very tired trying to get up and down this court. And that's one of the reasons Parish has been able to get those easy baskets at the other end.
Well, Billy, what can Fratello do to give him a rest here early?
Well, he can get Concac in there as quickly as possible.
Rivers comes around Tree with the screen. Whitman cuts back the other way. Got Johnson in the air. Short with the shot. McHale. Here's Johnson. He's in the middle. Quick dish to Bird coming through. Now Wilkins back at the other end.
Dominique's got to take his time. They got to get in an offense, make the Boston Celtics work. It's just been one shot, a rebound, and a fast break so far for the Celtics.
Whitman gets inside of Johnson. Missing Willis with an offensive rebound, and he misfired. Loose Ainge. Bounce pass. Beautiful to Bird in the middle. Here's DJ.
That's a clinic. That's the way you run the fast break. But you saw Dominique Wilkins looking tired as well at half court, just standing there trying to force Dennis Johnson to give the basketball up, and he never got back at all at the defensive end of the court.
Biggest lead, Billy. I'm surprised that Fratello hasn't gone to his bench. Rollins, and on the turnover, it's Ainge and Rivers, one-on-one. Out of bounds, it'll go over. Whitman hustled back to help out defensively, and Ainge couldn't get the handle on the ball.
We also see that Whitman's having a tougher time. There's Ainge going to the basket using the left hand. Good defense by Rivers. Good position. But all of a sudden, Whitman's playing against a bigger guard. Here's Dennis Johnson, who has been on the all-defensive ball club since I can remember, and he's 6'5" instead of Isaiah Thomas at 6'2".
Score the basket. It's a continuation foul. Whitman's field goal counts and getting to the free throw line, an opportunity for a three-pointer, and that ended a streak of 6 straight missed shots by the Hawks. Timeout. We'll be right back in Boston. It's a familiar rivalry in the NBA and in the Boston Globe today. Bob Ryan, one of the better basketball writers in the country, had this story on Danny Ainge, the man they love to hate. This is when it all started. It was between the Hawks and the Celtics back in 1983. Ainge was setting up. He'd had a confrontation with Tree already. Rollins throws out the left elbow, and there's contact. Ainge went back out after him following this blow right here, and then he tackled the big fella right down to the floor. And during the fight that followed, Ainge had a hand up around the eyes, and when he lowered that hand, well, the Tree took a bite out of it, and he bit him right down to the tendon. In fact, Ainge was showing me where the stitches were before this game. And do you know how many people really think that Ainge bit Tree? It's amazing how many I run into who don't remember the incident very well.
After looking at that, I don't know how many think about it, but I'm going to wear gloves around both of them. Because that hurt.
Cliff Levingston, who checked in for the Hawks, hit the free throw.
Right now, Brent, we're going to see a little different look by the Hawks. They're going to look to go to their 2-2-1 trap, try to slow the Hawks down, possibly get a steal. That's history right there.
Indeed. Billy, what do you think about Dominique Wilkins being rested right now?
I think that Dominic 1 for 6. The biggest thing, though, Brent, he was settling for those long jump shots.
Whitman misfiring, and the Celts come back leading 24-17. 2:30 to go. Opening period. Into the hands of Whitman. Willis.
Well, he doesn't look tired. But the other point I wanted to mention about Dominique, when you're tired as a basketball player, you tend to settle for the easy jump shot, which McHale is going to give him. For him to be a factor, he's got to be looking to penetrate and creating situations.
Parish is open, couldn't get the hand of it.
That's where they got to run. They got to look to push the ball right now and get the easy opportunities against the Celtics.
Can edge back to within 3. Whitman coming off the screen, but he didn't get the quick handle on the ball, so he passed it up. Now it's Rollins on a mismatch. Missing. Bird off with the rebound. That's 6 rebounds for Larry Bird here in the opening period. And McHale gliding through the key, drew the foul. Whitman's first personal. And here he comes, one of the most popular players in the NBA. He's only 5'7". Billy, did he hit a couple of key free throws or what on Friday?
Boy, he certainly did. You know, you mentioned popular. He's not very popular to Coach Casey over there because Casey's so concerned with his penetration. He has the ability to come in here and really spark this ball club.
Wilkins returning, and Willis gets a break. Tree Rollins has gone all the way here in the first period. Billy, what scares a coach like Casey the most when Spud Webb comes into the game?
His ability to penetrate and create situations, easy opportunities for himself or his teammates, and he's lightning. Now the thing that Casey Jones is going to look to do is to try and post Ainge up against him when they get to the other end of the court. But the problem there, Ainge is not a good post-up player.
Here's Webb. Off to Parish. Johnson. And Rollins off with authority. Waiting for Webb. Big free.
He was in a crowd and he couldn't see him.
Where's the little fella? Come get the ball, Spud.
There's the double team.
Great move and great defensive work by McHale.
McHale is such a smart basketball player. Now watch McHale keeping his body between Dominique and the basket, waiting for Dominique to commit himself. Then he reacts defensively and blocks that shot.
McHale's worth about $500,000 in arms. No blocking that one by the tree.
You know, Mike Fratello's got to be pretty pleased. Only down 4 points till this point, and his team has not really played well. They've been hurt on the boards. They haven't been able to get out and run as well as they'd like to. And Dominique is 1 for 7 to this point.
Fratello looking back at his bench. That's Livingston's first personal foul. 5 team fouls on the Hawks and 3 on the Celtics at the 42-second mark here in the first period. Dominique Wilkins has scored only 2 points here in the opening period. And of course, with Seasting checking in for the Celtics. He's been another key man off their bench all season long. He replaces Dennis Johnson. What a big day this is. Playoff activity continuing. Washington, Philadelphia, Game 5, Game 1, Dallas and the Lakers. Still ahead of us here this afternoon on CBS. About 6 weeks to go now to the NBA championship. They now call it the NBA Finals. Whitman coming down the baseline. Bird rebounding again. That's 7 for Larry. McHale breaks free. Great passing team.
McHale gets up and down the court as well as anybody that size has ever played this game of basketball. He just
attacks.
That's what they have to do. They have to look to push the basketball. Now Whitman has struggled a little bit with his shot as well. He's just got, and he did in the last game against Detroit in the first period, and then just settled down and was a big factor in that ball game. Now here's the isolation again, looking to post up Bird. And what they do is they take those 3 other players, Seasting, Parish, and McHale, and put them way above the 3-point line so they can't come back and help because of the illegal defense.
McHale, and it's good with time running out here in the first period. And the Hawks will not get a shot off. A 7-point first period lead by the Celtics in the Boston Garden. Back in Boston, I'm Brett Musburger with Billy Cunningham. And Billy, what about the Celtic fast break?
It's different than anyone in the league. They like to fast break by using the pass. Now, keep an eye on where McHale is and where he ends up. Larry Bird is going to get this defensive rebound, and they're going to make that outlet pass, okay, to Seasting, who's going to look to be over here on the wing. Watch the pass right here to Danny Ainge, excuse me, and there he is, right there, and there's McHale for that easy layup.
Billy, one of the things, as Bill Walton checks in along with Scott Wedman here, as we start the second period, one of the things, the Celtics always look down the floor. A lot of players in the NBA, they don't look to see if a teammate is breaking free.
Yeah, they look down at the basketball and don't have their head up. That's the first thing you should do when you get a defensive rebound or you get an outlet pass, to be looking up to see if someone's free.
Let's reset the lineups right now, Billy. We got a chance. Johnny Davis inbounding to Spud Webb, so they'll start in the backcourt. Now up front, Dominique Wilkins has returned. John Koncak and Tree Rollins. Tree Rollins has played all the way, and he's showing a bit of fatigue out there against Kevin McHale, Bill Walton, Danny Ainge, Scott Wedman, and Jerry Seasting. Rollins with the first shot of the second period puts it down. Now he has scored 8 points. He's picked up the slack because Wilkins was held to only 2 in that opening period. Celtics shot 52%, Atlanta 35%. Wedman, a fine streak shooter, missing, gets it back, misses again with the left hand, and Rollins is off with the rebound.
Well, because of the rebounding that Boston did in the first period, that's why Coach Patello, I'm sure, has his 2 big men in there.
Spud Webb off the spinning move inside. He is fouled by Seasting.
I'm going to be very interested to see how Spud does play against the Celtics, because the one thing that Detroit did not have, Brent, is the shot blockers. And against the Celtics, when he penetrates, he's going to be looking at Bill Walton, McHale, Parish, outstanding shot blockers.
Play one, release.
Played collegiately at North Carolina State. Signed as a free agent after being drafted but unsigned by the Detroit Pistons. Webb misses his free throws, and that hurt Atlanta tremendously in their 6 losses during the regular season. Great pass by Walton to the cutter, but Ainge didn't have shooting room. McHale missing. Wilkins is off to Davis.
Well, Spud Webb, I'm sure Coach Patello let him know, you don't double down on Walton. He's such an outstanding passer when he's in that low post area. Matter of fact, he and Bird have something going. Who can make the better pass for the game?
Here's Webb. Walton. Off to Ainge, and they pick up Seasting. Ainge. And look who came down with the rebound.
Now, one thing I would be concerned about Spud Webb right now, the last 2 times he's had the basketball, when he's penetrated, he's been thinking one thing, shot. Now, what he should be doing and where he's most effective is when he's penetrating and looking to create things for his teammates.
Patello might have said just that to him over there on the sideline. Billy had an opportunity during that breakage in play to talk to him. Koncak, and Seasting reaches in, and that's his 3rd personal foul. Quickly, he has come off the bench, and K.C. Jones talking to his assistants over there, wondering whether or not to leave him, and for the time being, they will. Now he comes out. So Dennis Johnson quickly off that bench.
And that's going to be another problem for Atlanta, because Dennis is an excellent post-up player, and they might do that with him against Johnny Davis.
Wilkins cutting baseline, and Wedman went right with him. Davis, former teammate of Walton's, passes to Koncak.
Excellent play. Excellent play by Johnny Davis, the penetration for the easy hoop. That's what Spud Webb has got to do for his team.
One thing to keep in mind about Atlanta, they're being out-muscled on the boards, but they trail by only 3 on the scoreboard. Quick pass to Wedman. And Bird, you can see getting up in the background. He'll be returning for K.C. Jones. Ainge, you can see how much room he gives him there at the top of the circle.
Oh, he's going to back off even more as we go along. Let's see. There again. Spud Webb a little out of control, penetrating, looking for the shot for himself. Atlanta doesn't win if he looks for his own shot.
Billy, we got a timeout in the Boston Garden. 9:16 to go, and we'll be right back. So we are back at 9:16 to go, and Billy Cunningham, let's get an overview from you right now.
Well, right now, I'd say the Celtics are playing good basketball. They've been able to run. They've been doing the job on the defensive boards as well as the offensive boards. But I would think the way they've been playing that they'd be up by more points at this point. But the Hawks, they have to be pleased with that because they have not played well. They haven't shown a great deal of patience when they've gone to the offensive end of the court. And I think at the defensive end of the court, they've got to keep people like McHale off their defensive boards, because he is just such a factor there. And they have to get back and double team a little quicker when they are looking to double team, because they'll show many different looks, because they feel if they show the same look consistently against the Celtics, they're such a good ball club that they'll kill them.
Well, Dominique Wilkins, who led the NBA in scoring, averaged better than 30 points a game, has been held here to 1 field goal and 3 rebounds. Larry Bird has returned. What about Bird and Walton on the floor at the same time, Billy?
Well, I tell you what, I'd like to be a player out there that could shoot the open shot, because if you get to the open spot, you're going to get the ball. Not only get it, but you'll get it in a perfect situation to score, just like that.
And that was Bird hitting Walton. Davis comes up after the fake, and Walton with the rebound.
So it appears Atlanta's going to really try to force the tempo, as they did that time after the made field goal by the Celtics. Here's the isolation on Bird. They're staying home, let Livingston play him head up.
Backed him in and then went to Wedman. And Dominique Wilkins reached in on Wedman.
You know, the thing about Bird, when you play with him, when he's posted up over there, you see him, the first thing he's thinking about is, hey, how is the defense playing me? And he's looking for a teammate, and if he's open, he's going to give him the ball. An example was there, Wedman saw his man, turned his head, bang, he just looked flash to that open spot and got the ball. Let's see what he does this time.
Bird off the left-handed dribble.
That was, it looked like Spud Webb might have gotten a piece of that shot.
Wilkins, Whitman inside to Willis. Bird rebound. Bird has pulled down 8 rebounds here in the first half.
Wait until he gets warmed up. There's that post up with Ainge.
Ainge traveled. And he was also fouled off of that first step before the travel. And that'll be Spud Webb's initial foul of the game.
Now look at the mismatch right there. Willis coming back to double, and I think the official called the foul on Spud pushing from the rear.
Walton gets it on.
I wonder what Bird's going to do to match that one. Or top it. Excuse me, Larry never tries to match anything.
Wilkins off a screen. Off of Johnson's hand to Whitman.
Don't you get the feeling, Brent, they're rushing things a little bit, even when they get the good shots? You know, like Dominique, that was a good shot for him right there. Willis, the last time when he had the good position, rushed things.
Billy, for the first time, the scoreboard reflects the difference in play. The Celtics started to open up a lead. There they were called for an illegal defense at the 7:30 mark here of the first half. 36-27. So that's their biggest lead of the game so far.
Well, right now you'll see Larry Bird at his best defensively, not only on the boards but helping his teammates, because Livingston is not an offensive threat. So Larry will look to help his teammates, and he'll be really on the defensive boards.
That's an offensive foul. Whitman making the cut around the screen. Now this is not the man you want leading the Hawks in scoring.
No, that's at the end of the ball game. That's usually a pretty good game for Tree, getting 8 points.
And that's 3 fouls on Livingston, so Fratello will replace him soon with contact. Walton with the left hand.
Even though he missed it, that was a good, strong move to the basket.
Got to be impressed, Billy, with the Celtic bench. Seasting and Walton, Wedman, they have added a lot to this team. Rivers stepped inside and made the pass, and Wedman reached in on him and committed his first personal with the rookie John Contact. SMU checking in. We've got a timeout. We'll return in a moment. Never beat the NBA playoffs. Now, still ahead of us here this afternoon, we've got Washington, Philadelphia, Game 5 or Game 1 of Dallas and the Lakers. Now, I said spectacular action. Many of you were able to see this play. It might have won for Detroit. I want you to watch Isaiah Thomas. As he gets down to the baseline, he is sealed up by the Hawks in the second overtime. Improvise Isaiah. Go to the left hand. Lays it in. This, of course, put Detroit ahead by a point, and then Spud Webb won it with his 2 free throws, 114 to 113. But what a creative move, and we see plays like that throughout the entire playoff period, Billy.
I think Chuck Daly was working with him on that move.
Rick Carlisle, number 34, has checked in for the first time. Dominique traveled. That is the 4th Hawks turnover. Celtics have turned it over 6 times.
Well, you can see right there, Dominique is thinking too much. And normally he would just catch that basketball and just dunk it or go in for the easy shot. Walton.
Here's the man the Hawks have to get into the scoring column. He passed off beautifully to Koncak. That's Koncak's 2nd field goal. 6:18 to go in the first half.
Now, right now, the Celtics have a beautiful tempo going for themselves. They're just getting into their offense too easily. And if they don't change it somehow, either putting some full court pressure on the guards to slow them down, it's something that Atlanta could be in for a long day.
2nd personal on Wilkins. Walton offered Bird a choice, either come around the screen or go ahead inside. He went inside that time.
He doesn't make many bad choices.
Now it's Bird out high with the screen for Johnson. Johnson hitting from the perimeter. And the lead starts to swell.
The way they're playing right now is awfully scary. They just seem to be under such control and good patience with their offense. And defensively, they're just doing an outstanding job holding this team to
score the basket.
I think that was a break for the Hawks because that foul appeared to be called a little before the shot was put up.
Walton's first.
Now here's the post up. Nice move, taking the ball to the other side of the basket.
Well, Kevin Willis at the line with Kevin McHale returning, and Wedman sitting down for KC Jones. Assistant coach Chris Ford over there on the bench. Here's Willis, who really used a weightlifting program to bulk up, with Walton now sitting down. Shot that free throw like a weightlifter.
Yeah. Just looked like a shot put.
Carlisle touched the floor to Cutter. Missed the shot, but it was a pretty play.
That was still a beautifully executed play.
Wilkins getting inside to the baseline. And Rick Carlisle fouled him, and that's his first personal.
You know, that's the way a good scorer, you know, who's struggling a little bit, should get themselves going offensively. Either get out, get an easy opportunity on a fast breaking situation, or get to the offensive boards, Brent, and then it just seems to build that confidence in the other phases of the ball game.
Well, he's showing the after effects of playing the 53 minutes on Friday night.
One point I want to mention, though, this was a team, even in the Detroit series, that usually started off slow in the first half.
Parish turns the corner.
That's a no-no. You can never give Robert Parish the baseline on that right-hand side of the court. You must force him back towards the middle where you can get some help, or force him to shoot a fadeaway jump shot.
Rollins couldn't hold on, but the Hawks keep possession.
We got 10 seconds on the 24-second clock.
Whitman around the screen.
That might get him going.
42-35 at the 4:40 mark here of the first half.
Do you think Dennis Johnson must feel relieved looking at Whitman instead of Michael Jordan?
The tree swatted it with a limb.
Great hustle by Willis and McHale, going after that loose ball. Now here we'll see a great block there by Tree. Football goes off McHale's foot. Just great hustle by both players. But the one interesting thing, notice how McHale, first thing he tried to do with the loose ball is trying to get his body between the defender and the basketball so he could gain control.
Rivers, Willis, Wilkins, Whitman, and Rollins on the floor for Fratello. They're doubling Wilkins as soon as he touches the ball. Rollins missing. Bird with still another rebound, and that's 9 in the first half by Larry. McHale making it look easy, aren't they?
Well, they're really taking advantage of Tree Rollins not getting up and down the court well. They're going to have to make some kind of adjustment, not allowing those easy hoops.
Willis, the offensive tap off the Rivers miss, and Kevin Willis with 10 points here in the first half.
Now here they go, just looking to go directly inside to McHale, and he is murder right there.
It's Parish, and it was knocked away by Rivers, and off Parish, it'll go to the Hawks. They sure would like to get Wilkins a field goal here and get him off before the half.
Yeah, something taking it to the basket. Good, strong move, maybe a dunk.
Whitman improved his position. Nice play by Randy Whitman.
You know, when he shoots that basketball, though, he reminds me so much of Bill Bradley, the way he holds that basketball. Here's the double.
One way to beat it.
Yeah, but that's something, Brent, you have to give up. You can't take away everything.
Wilkins hits Whitman with the pass.
You know, that's smart. What Dominique's done now, he's given a few easy hoops to a couple teammates. Then they'll have to maybe stay home a little bit more against him.
McHale lost control coming up. Goes to Atlanta. Well, we got a timeout in the Boston Garden. So the Hawks, who have not played well, are still hanging tough, and we'll be right back in Atlanta. And later today, most of you will see Washington and Philadelphia. That's the fifth and deciding game of the series. That's where Pat O'Brien is standing by in the Spectrum, so let's go to Pat.
And thank you, Brent. From the Spectrum here in Philadelphia, we're talking playoffs today on At the Half. We'll find out what's next in that Houston-Denver series now underway. We'll go live to Los Angeles and find out what's now and what Magic Johnson has to say about the LA-Dallas series. And Ann Butler will be here to tell us what has been in the career of Bobby Jones, who might be playing the final game of his career today. All that, and as usual, much more coming to you at the half. Back to you, Brent.
All right, Pat, thank you. And Billy, of course, you coached Bobby Jones. What's ahead for the great former player from North Carolina, now a 76er?
I'm not sure what's ahead of him in the way after basketball. He will retire at the end of this year. But whatever he does, he's going to be successful. I never coached or was around a player in my 20 years that had the ability to win more games at the defensive end of the court than he did.
Great gentleman, Bobby Jones. We'll hear more about him from Ann Butler at halftime. 46-41, last 2:45. Atlanta tipped away by Parish. Whitman gets a hand on it, and Wilkins saves it.
5 seconds on the 24-second clock. He's got to go find something.
Almost lost it. 1 second. He's short. Winds up in the hands of Ainge.
Just great team defense there by the Celtics, not allowing him to penetrate. He could barely get past the foul line. There's the pick and roll.
Parish.
Yep, it's no set play. It's nothing. It's an attitude. It's an attitude that if someone else has an advantage, you're going to give him the basketball, and you have confidence that he'll capitalize on it.
There's Whitman. Missing. Winds up in McHale's hands, and Bird topples to the floor. Here's the Chief.
You know what's scary? The fast break, McHale and Parish. There wasn't a guard back there.
And quickly, the lead goes back to 9 here in the Boston Garden. Mike Fratello will huddle the Hawks. Now 1:42 to go with the Celts over there around K.C. Jones. And what will Coach Fratello stress over there, Billy, to the Hawks?
Well, number one, you have to have some people back defensively. Number two, let's make sure when we run something offensively that we get the execution and we make the extra pass at the offensive end of the court. It's just they're not playing the way and moving the basketball the way they did against Detroit in the first round of the playoffs for them.
Mike Fratello, who of course once was an assistant under Hubie Brown and has gone back to coach the same team that Brown coached before going up to the New York Knickerbockers.
Now, a big thing here, you know, the Celtics, I'm sure KC was telling them, hey, let's jump on them and really have them in the hole going into halftime. Now, Atlanta wants to be close. If they can be 5-7 points at the end of the first half, they're in pretty good shape.
Rivers backing in, and Willis, who has played strongly throughout the first half,
well,
right, 12 points.
Yeah, right there, Brent, excuse me, but Bird came over to give that help defensively, and Willis realized that and went strong to the offensive boards.
Wilkins outside with Bird. Bounces back to McHale. Pretty rolled down by Kevin McHale.
Is that beautiful? Oh, I mean, the bounce pass was right on the money. That was a tough pass for a man McHale size to handle, but Bird just put it right there. Just beautiful. Now they can go back with the pick and roll.
Rivers hitting three, and Ainge reached in, and that's Ainge's second personal foul.
I wonder if they said hello or said they were sorry about that last situation they had up here in the Boston Garden. I doubt it.
Well, there was some bad blood lingering over that incident for a long, long time.
Play one release.
One of the things that's apparent here, Billy, in the first half is how hard the Hawks have had to work to get anything to happen, and the Celtics have made it look pretty easy.
Absolutely. Very few shots have really been contested that they have made. You know, it's just been a great pass here or there, hitting the open man or getting it the ball to the person in the good post-up position. They've been able to score. But here we are. We have a situation where very easily, if the Atlanta scores right here, they could go off, down 6 points and be very, very happy going into the locker room. 3 seconds on the 24. He better shoot it.
Second. Rivers.
Oh, my goodness.
Great rebound by Wilkins.
I can't believe how high he got up to get that rebound.
Rivers fouls Ainge.
Now just take a look at Dominique Wilkins coming in from the weak side, just jumping over 2 players that are 7 feet tall.
Friday night off that miss against Detroit, he followed in with a thunderous dunk.
And that was a big basket in that Detroit basketball game. That was down the stretch.
22nd timeout here at the 5-second mark of the first half. So again, the Atlanta Hawks are only down by 6 points, 52-46.
What KC wants to do is he wants to, right now with this timeout, make sure that they get a good shot and they get it into the hands of none other than Larry Bird. But of course, Larry might take the ball out of bounds and make the entry pass. If he does that, he'll be looking for a direct pass into the post.
This is a big NBA playoff afternoon on CBS. This is game 1 between Atlanta and the Celtics. Still to come, game 5, the decisive one. Either Washington or Philadelphia will advance to take on Milwaukee. Meanwhile, out west, Dallas and the Lakers, the defending NBA champion Los Angeles Lakers. Bird, and it winds up with Whitman at the buzzer. Bird and the Celtics lead here in the first half, but the Atlanta Hawks have to be happy. Despite playing poorly, they are hanging for semifinal with the Boston Celtics leading Atlanta 52-46. I'm Brent Musburger back in the Boston Garden along with Billy Cunningham. Billy, which numbers jump off the stat sheet at you here at halftime?
There's a few, Brent. Number 1, the rebounding. Boston with the advantage 30-22. The other thing, field goal percentage 50-41.
Now, we want to take a look at the 2 stars in this game. Larry Bird with 12 points and 9 rebounds. Dominique Wilkins was only 2 of 10 shooting in the first half. Now, the ball comes through both of these players throughout much of the half court and even the fast breaking activity. And look at Wilkins. He's handled it 13 times in the front court, and they've scored only 23% of the time. That reflects more his difficulties. But look at Larry Bird there.
Yeah, and Larry is shooting approximately 45%, 42% from the field in the first half, but still, when he handles the ball, that's how productive he is for that ball club.
At 11 o'clock this morning, the first player to come out of either dressing room was Larry Bird. He hit his first 10 shots before he finally missed. He stayed out here shooting at both ends for 40 minutes before he went back inside. He is a man who is at the top of his game and is determined to play even better. Now we want to take a look at how the Celtics are attacking Dominique Wilkins. Billy, point out some things.
Okay, now, Brent, what they're trying to do on this play is they're looking to isolate Dominique. Keep an eye on the basketball here. Now they're going to look, okay, for Dominique to come off the screen, and when he comes off this screen, that's going to be set, okay, that's set here. Okay, what they're going to do is they're going to look for these two players we have to look for to come over and double team the basketball. Carlisle and Parish. Now, the one thing I want you to look at is right here is where they should make that pass, find the open man. Rivers moving into the open slot for that easy jump shot.
Now, Billy, you spoke to K.C. Jones about that defensive strategy that he would employ. Is he inviting the guards to beat them outside?
Oh, absolutely. Especially Rivers and Webb. He's just saying, hey, I don't care how many shots you take from the foul line out. We are not going to allow your penetration, and we're not going to allow your big people to hurt us inside. And an example is we have Rivers, who's 1 for 7, and Spud Webber's 0 for 2, so it's working very well so far.
The Hawks will inbound to start the second half. The first two games of this series here in Boston. Game 2, of course, is Tuesday night. Then the series moves down to Georgia.
You know, we sit here and we've been so negative about the play of Atlanta the first half, but here we are, and they're 6 points down. It's just hard. You look at the stat sheet, and I just can't understand how they're there. But that shows a lot for this young ball club.
Rivers missing, and Wilkins, and he lost control, and Larry Bird brings it down with his 10th rebound. Parish turning back toward the baseline. Rivers rebounded. Wilkins misses again. Now 2 of 11.
That's still a good shot for him, Brent. That's something they look for him, and they try to have him shoot that shot. Good defense right there. Good communications between Rivers and Rollins.
Parish. Rollins and the Celtics missed their first 2 trips down the floor here in the second half. They cannot apply the knockout punch. It's like a fighter ahead on points, and he can just not put his opponent away. Meanwhile, the Hawks can't get anything done here with the opportunity early. Ainge jumped past the McHale.
Well, McHale, it's either McHale or Parish beating them down the court for those easy baskets. Now, I'm sure that Coach Fratello right now would say, hey, if we could have just stopped that one thing, those easy baskets by those 2 players, hey, it's an easy ball game where we might be leading as poorly as we're playing.
Rivers fouled, and it's on Danny Ainge. That's his 3rd personal foul.
Danny Ainge is a very underrated defensive basketball player. Now, even though he did foul Rivers going to the basket, he has done exactly what the coach has asked him to do. You know, put some pressure on Rivers, but make sure you're backing off and you don't allow that penetration. He's the one that's looking to come and doing most of the double teaming for the Celtics today, trying to force, if anybody shoots the perimeter shot, that be Rivers.
Well, you think about the Boston Celtics, Billy, the rich could get richer. They're in the lottery. They could wind up with the first pick overall. And Red Auerbach told us that he would go for North Carolina center Brad Daugherty if he won that lottery. Told us that before the game. Parish hits Dennis Johnson.
Now there's a sign of confidence of Dennis Johnson. When Dennis is kind of not sure of his jump shot, you'll see he has a tendency of catching the ball and looking to penetrate into the lane after they swing it on a double team. But today he's got that confidence.
Wilkins bangs that one in, hoping to get off and start a streak here.
You know, one thing about Dominique, he's not very shy about shooting the basketball. He was the first player in the history of the NBA to miss over 1,000 shots 2 consecutive years.
McHale missing that opportunity. Whitman faking a couple times. Bird, still another rebound. Johnson breaks free.
There's the Boston break in the air with the pass.
Looking down the floor for that open man. You know, it's somewhat similar to the Raiders' passing attack. When you look long first and then come up short. Celtics are always looking for that open man. Break deep. Rivers.
And that's the shot they'll give him. They're going to stop his penetration for 2 reasons. If he penetrates to the basket, it makes the Celtics vulnerable on the offensive boards and also for the possible easy pass.
It is off Willis's leg, out of bounds. Celtics ball. We've got a timeout here in the Boston Garden. We've got 8:56 to go in the 3rd period. Boston leads Atlanta by select the Miller Lite MVP player here, and the winner will be multiple sclerosis. That society will receive a check for $1,000 in that player's name. Speaking about the upcoming lottery and the NBA draft, I see the familiar figure of John Sally watching the activity here this afternoon in Boston. He figures to go high in the first round.
What'd you say, Brent?
Enjoy the action here at the Boston Garden. Oh, who's going to be the first round draft choice? Oh, do you do? All right. Pass into Robert Parish. Back to Johnson. McHale. Oh, great jump hook.
He's just a great player inside. Now, he had two players coming at him. Willis looked to try and block that shot. I think that if Atlanta must go down and double McHale. Of all the players on this ball club down low, they have to double him.
Now Wilkins loses control, and Bird up with the loose ball, and here's Johnson quickly to McHale. That's 18 points for Kevin McHale. He's the high point man in the game. And the Celtics run up a 10-point lead on Mike Fratello. See the NCAA Gymnastics Championships on CBS Sports. 1:30 Eastern Time. You can see if Utah's women's team can win an unprecedented 6th straight national championship. That is Saturday here on CBS. Right now, the Boston Celtics have built a 10-point lead on the Atlanta Hawks. This is Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinal series. That broad grin on Larry Bird's face is not because of something that Casey Jones said in the huddle. John Sally's acquaintance gave the boys quite a show during that timeout. It was very hard to concentrate on what the coaches were saying. And the crowd has come alive here for the first time. Willis missing, and Parish off with the rebound.
Just great team defense there by the Celtics, just swarming Willis as soon as he put the basketball on the floor.
7:55 to go here in the third. The Hawks coming off that grueling double overtime elimination game in Detroit. Not had much time to prepare here for the Celtics, and I think it has shown. Whitman coming down with a missed shot, and Ainge has got it back for the Celts, and here's Johnson looking off the defense and putting in the field goal.
I don't care how well you're playing as a basketball team, you know you just cannot commit silly turnovers and have any chance of beating the Celtics up here in Boston. But again, I think fatigue is a factor. Now they just get what this team has to do is they need someone to really light a fire for them. And the man that has to do that, nice move by Tree Rollins for the two, but they need, I think, Dominique to get them rolling here if they're going to come back in this basketball game.
That's 11 points by Rollins. Coach Fratello bending down on one knee. Celtics put away the Bulls in 3 games, had a few days off. Willis with the rebound off the miss.
That was excellent defense by Dominique, beating Bird to that baseline and having good position, forcing the jump shot.
Now Rivers brings it out. Setting up at the top of the circle. Whitman.
They're not executing the way they did against Detroit, setting the good screens for Whitman to come off.
And the shot clock expired. That shot got off late for Coach Fratello.
Yeah, one big difference, Brent, I know how much college basketball you did this year. You have a 45-second clock in college basketball, so if you don't execute well, you always can bring it back and run the play again and do something else. In the pro game, if you don't set the good screens and execute, you're going to end up in most cases with a bad shot.
Now that shot did not count. The foul came earlier down the baseline with Spud Webb checking in for the Hawks. And that foul going against Rollins. It's hard to believe that's his first personal foul of this game.
It's hard for him to believe it, I'm sure. He's used to, in most cases, he's got 3, 4 fouls at least by this time in the ball game.
Usually they are on during the national anthem. Ainge is open.
Danny Ainge has just been playing great basketball, especially the last couple games for the Celtics in the playoffs.
Wilkins with a hanging shot, and he'll also step up to the free throw line. Billy, I'm going to make a prediction that the Celtics and the Lakers will play for the third time for the championship, but the Celtics will not sweep this Atlanta team. They will find a great deal of difficulty as this series continues to unfold. Once the Hawks can really concentrate on what the Celtics are doing and when they can get them back home in Atlanta.
And again, you know, I've been in this situation a lot worse. Believe me. One day we played up here, we played Milwaukee, had a day off, and came up and played Boston, and we lost by over 40 points in the first game and had the ability to come back and beat Boston in that second ball game.
Ainge with a pass to Parish. Ainge reaching back in, comes up with it. Great hustle by Danny Ainge, the former BYU star. Here's the Chief. That's 14 points for Parish. Speaking of the Lakers, the defending champions, they get started today against Dallas. Wilkins misfiring. Webb runs it down. Rivers tapped up and in by Willis. That's 14 in his first here in the second half. 4:58 to go in the third period.
You know, the Celtics have been around this score for quite a while.
By Johnson.
That comes with playing with each other, that experience. That's why they've been able to get to the finals and win the championship several times in recent years.
Willis bounces off a Bird. Shot wouldn't stay down. McHale coming up with it. Rollins had been battling away underneath. Loose, and again it's Ainge coming up with another loose ball, and Johnson to McHale. Rollins on the goaltending scoring. That is 20 points for Kevin McHale.
What that was great ball movement by the Boston Celtics finding the open man.
Now Coach Fratello and the Hawks have dug themselves a big hole. And we'll be right game one between the Celtics and the Hawks. And still ahead of us, most of you are going to see game 5, Washington and Philadelphia. The winner will advance and take on Milwaukee, or you'll see game 1, Dallas and the Lakers. And Billy, I got to ask you about the Washington-Philadelphia game, because obviously you coached the 76ers last year. Your good friend Kevin Lockery now coaching the Bullets. How do you look at that game coming up?
I think Philadelphia will beat them because they have the ability to really put some good pressure defense on that Washington ball club. The only problem that I see for Philly is Jeff Ruhlin able to come back and play at the level before his injuries, because he was having a great year earlier.
You know, I was surprised that the 76ers made the announcement that Moses Malone was finished for the entire playoffs until after the 5th game, that they didn't wait until tomorrow.
Yeah, Brent, I was too, because I'm sure the players like Julius Erving, Cheeks, and Bobby Jones, you know, they figured, hey, if we get through this series, Moses will be back for us so we can play against Milwaukee. And now without Moses, I think they realize that, you know, they can just go so far without his presence.
Danny Ainge jumps in and forces a jump ball with Rivers. Ainge is winning the Hustle Award here in the second half.
Yeah, and the guy you have to give a lot of credit to is Casey Jones, the way he has his team prepared, because against Detroit, this was a big play, that pick and roll, and it hurt them a great deal. But we haven't seen that against this Celtic team. Of course, the Celtics have such a great team defensive concept, and they play so well together.
Mathis tosses it up, and Bird tracks it down.
When there's a loose ball and Larry Bird's around it, he and Moses Malone just seem to get all loose balls.
McHale scores coming inside contact. 22 for Kevin.
Now, the big problem you have on this play is because Bird can shoot the three-pointer, you have to respect that shot, so the spacing for that passing is just perfect, and the double team is just a little late coming from the weak side.
Celtics rolling now. Time running down in the third period. Livingston shipping the ball inside the contact. Kicked by the Celtics. Hawks ball.
You know, it's very simple philosophy. Overall, you look at the Celtics today in their defensive philosophy. Beat us from over the top. The only one they really, it appears that they've really shown the respect
Steal by Ainge.
to. Great play anticipation by Danny Ainge. But the only player on the Hawks that they've shown that respect to from the perimeter is Whitman.
I'll tell you what this reminds me of. The Detroit-Boston series a year ago. The Celtics erupted as they have here today. But then the Pistons dug in, and led by Terry Tyler, they made a heck of a series out of that.
I'll top that. How about the first game against the Lakers last year here in Boston Garden? When they buried the Lakers, and the Lakers were able to come back and win the World Championship.
You remember how old Kareem Abdul-Jabbar looked for one afternoon, and then how youthful he looked the rest of the way in that series.
That might have been the best basketball he's played throughout his career.
How about the all-defensive team around the league as voted by the coaches this year? Billy, did you get a chance to pay attention to that?
Well, I paid attention to it when I was a coach. When I was a player, I didn't bother with this stuff. But you know, just outstanding defensive players. You know, you look at them and they seem to be the same players every year. Just outstanding. A guy that I really think is an unbelievable defensive player is Michael Cooper right there. I think he has the ability to go to the small forward, go play Bird, or go out to the guard position, which you don't find any of those other 10 players do for their ball club.
And you'll see Manute Bol, of course, with the Bullets later today against Philadelphia. Rivers runs down his miss. Comes from out of the corner.
Well, where were they making him shoot the basketball, Brent? He's just going to watch Danny Ainge just backing off. He's giving him 8 feet. That's the only guy they respect right now for the perimeter shot. And they didn't even have to play him today.
I tell you, he's showing that he's in excellent physical condition is Kevin Willis. He has come on stronger, I think, physically than any of the Hawks after that grueling war in Detroit. Now leaning in on McHale.
Well, that's what he has to do. When you play against Kevin McHale, you must beat him to the spot and not allow him to just walk down, get his good position, and receive the ball. If you do that, you know, of course you don't want to get in an arm wrestling contest with him or push him, but you got to beat him, force him out on the court where he is right there. That's great defense if you can get him to that point.
Great pass by him on the outside with Kevin coming up to the free throw line. He has scored 23 points. Spud Webb returning to the floor for the Hawks.
Yeah, one other point, if you watch the Celtics big people, when they catch the basketball, they anticipate the double team coming, and they release the basketball even before the double team gets there to just make it even tougher for that guy to recover defensively.
Webb. Dennis has Bird open.
Just take a look at where Danny Ainge will be standing on the court.
2 minutes.
Fast break points right there. Just the only way you run, though, is creating turnovers or getting the defensive rebounds.
Kevin Willis credited with that. 16 points.
Well, if there's a bright spot for this Hawk team today, it's the play of Kevin Willis. Now the post up, looking for Ainge to go inside against Webb. And they'll look to double as soon as it goes inside. Bang, bang, bang.
That's a 27 run in the last 4 minutes, Billy, by the Celtics.
This is one of the problems, Brent. When you play a great team and they get in that nice, smooth rhythm and their flow, you have to do something as a coach. Might be crazy at the time, but you have to do something to take them out of that flow.
Billy, if you were Fratello, would you experiment now and try some different combinations and give some players a few minutes here to see what you might be able to come up with as this series unfolds?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I'd have to evaluate, do we still have a chance? And another thing I might do is right now I might try experiment. Exactly right. I might look to, okay, let's see if we can get back in the game by pressure defense. We have to come in. Battles is in the ball game now at the guard position, replacing Whitman. But let's see, we have a pretty quick team out there. Let's go out, look to deny, let's look to overplay, put some full court pressure. Hey, what do we have to lose type of attitude.
Well, John Battle played collegiately at Rutgers, a rookie. He has replaced Whitman. It's contact, Webb, Battle, Willis, and Livingston on the floor. The only starter still out there for Fratello is Willis. And Battle looking to him, and Johnson backed off, and here comes Willis on the turnaround against McHale. The Celtics right now have their starting five, and it's as good a starting five as there is, at least this side of Los Angeles. Off McHale's hand, out of bounds. It'll go over on the turnover to the Hawks.
That was a tough pass to handle, but the thing is, Casey Jones doesn't want to have them sit down now. He wants to end this basketball game as quickly as he can. He'd like to see it 35 points, then he'll start substituting.
Billy, this was a great third quarter by the Celtics. That was their first turnover in this quarter. Contact, and he's stuffed by Parish, gets it back, misses everything. McHale off with the rebound.
You get the feeling the Celtics are pretty serious and they're not aware of what the score is. They're just going to come out here and play the 48 minutes.
Three-pointer by McHale was short, and we've come to the end of the third period. The Celtics in command. We'll return after these messages from your local station.
Down court to Dennis Johnson. Near side, Ainge underneath McHale. Off it comes to Mahorn, up to Isaiah, way up to Dumars, back to the trailer, early jam. And to Bernard Thompson, nice pass, shot too hard off the glass. Rebound Byron Scott, the Magic Johnson in the lane, goes to Worthy, back to Magic, down to Kareem, they stuff it.
America's game. It's fantastic.
CBS Sports coverage of the NBA playoffs is sponsored by Plymouth, a division of Chrysler Corporation. Plymouth, the pride is back, born in America again. And by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Well, the Boston Celtics dominating the Atlanta Hawks here in the Boston Garden. This is game one of their Eastern Conference semifinal. In the opening period, with the Celtics dominating on the boards, they opened up a 7-point lead. Then at the intermission, well, the Hawks closed in a point, and they trailed by 6. It was 52-46. But in the third, the Celtics outscored the Hawks 34-17, and they have gone up 86-63, and they have made it look easy here in the last few minutes, Billy.
They've made it look easy, and everybody is contributing so much. I thought earlier, a few weeks ago, when I saw the Celtics play the 76ers and lose on Julius Erving's three-point shot, that the chemistry wasn't right. We saw a situation with, Parish, he'd be productive for a period of time, and then McHale, but they just didn't seem to be in sync, and obviously that was just a little phase they were going through.
Well, you saw Wilkins' shooting stats. He's 4 of 14 from the field. Overall, the Hawks are only 38%, and the Celtics 55%. Part of that, you have to contribute to fatigue. There is no doubt about it here this afternoon, and that's no excuse. That's just a fact. Ainge bangs one in from the corner. Hastings has checked in. He's number 44. He's handling the ball. His first shot off the bench, and he hits a field goal. He will not be too tight. He didn't get that many minutes on Friday.
The only thing he did was make some inbound passes on Friday night.
Missed a couple of free throws.
Ooh, didn't he?
Big at the time, I'll tell you, in that second overtime. Into Parish. Looking for 16, and there was a 3-second violation, so it'll go over. Let's set the lineups, because Jerry Seasting on the floor for the Celtics, along with Scott Wedman and Bill Walton here as we open the final period. John Battle still out there with Livingston. Wilkins has returned. Hastings and Spud Webb for the Hawks. This is Webb.
Well, there was a case of the double team of Dominique when he's isolated, and he swung the ball to Webb. Webb is standing too far. He should have made up some ground and come towards the basketball. Would have made it easier and got him a little better shot even.
Ainge. 13 points for Danny Ainge here this afternoon. Parish. Wedman to Seasting.
Be interesting to see how long they keep Dominique out on that court. You know, if they come down and hit another basket or two, the Celtics right here, I wouldn't be surprised to see him take him out.
Walton tried to force that pass. Webb comes back on Seasting. Spins it in. But no, there was offensive interference while the ball was up there. Battle was following. And the trailing official, Mathis, did he touch this ball coming down the other side?
I didn't see him touch it. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's see if he gets a piece of the net or touches the rim or over the cylinder while...
No, he did not.
No, he didn't.
Mathis didn't have the good angle on the play either. He was back here at midcourt when he made that call.
There's many times I thought he's had the bad angle when I was coaching. I assure you that.
Hangs one off the glass.
Yeah, that's a good horse shot right there by Ainge.
Well,
flanking it straight away.
No basket interference that time by the little big man.
Now, the one thing now that I'm sure Casey Jones doesn't want to see happen, or Mike Fratello, is where it gets up and down garbage time. We're in the playoffs now, and these teams have to be working and making sure they don't get any bad habits and that they work on some things at least to improve and make themselves a better team.
Wedman knocked the ball out of bounds. Walton had gone to the left-handed hook shot. Got a timeout here in the Boston Garden. 9:34 left to play. Remember, Washington and Philadelphia still ahead of it. Well, still ahead of us. We'll take you to the Spectrum. It'll be Game 5. The Philadelphia 76ers against the Washington Bullets. The winner will advance to the Eastern Conference semifinal and take on the Milwaukee Bucks. Meanwhile, the rest of you will be able to watch from the Forum in Inglewood, California, where the defending NBA champion Los Angeles Lakers open up against Mark Aguirre and the Dallas Mavericks this afternoon. Along with Aguirre, of course, there's also Sam Perkins, who played on an NCAA championship team out of North Carolina. And here today, he starts that series against the Lakers. So both of those games are still ahead of us. Most of you will see Washington, Philadelphia. Let's take a look at Bill Walton and Scott Hastings down inside here, Billy.
Well, very physical. You know, just this is a way it'll even become more physical as this series goes on. But in the NBA, if you allow these great offensive big people to post up, they're just going to bury you. You must get down there, beat them to the spot, force them out on the court a step or two, and then you can either get some help at the defensive end of the court or force them to take a tougher shot than they'd like.
Wilkins, short and Walton gets it off into the hands of Ainge.
Now, it's quite an adjustment. All of a sudden, Dominique Wilkins is seeing Kevin McHale instead of Kelly Tripucka playing. Quite a difference defensively and size-wise.
Hawks come back. It's Webb. Wilkins comes inside on Walton, and Walton fouled it.
Still, it was beautiful help defensively. McHale went out there, forced him to put it on the floor. That's a great team defense, knowing that there's going to be someone there to give you the help.
Now, looking at Walton reminds me of that great line that Jeff Ruland had. Of course, he'll be playing for the Bullets against Philadelphia in Game 5, and Jeff's been slowed by a lot of injuries, and they were talking to him about it and his future, and he said, well, I can always look forward to playing with the Boston Celtics, like Bill Walton.
Yeah, just stay injured for a little while longer.
Larry Bird, he wanted a little more competition here this afternoon. He likes it when it's hot and heavy.
He might go down to the YMCA or some other place to get a little bit more work, because I'm sure he's a little upset that he didn't get more playing time. He truly loves to play this game of basketball.
Sloppy, Walton open.
All they say, it's one of those days when the ball just starts bouncing right up in the direction of the Celtics. Coach Fratello, all he can do is he's going to look at part of this film. He probably won't even look at this part or show his team this part of the film, because he wants to make sure they stay confident in their abilities and feel that they can beat the Celtics. They'll watch the first half and just try and forget about what they experienced today.
Offensive foul against Battle. His first of the game. It'll come out here on the side. Ainge bringing it to the attack.
Well, we see the importance of Whitman for this basketball team with this perimeter shot, and they're just going to have to really depend on him and need good execution from him. He needs it from his teammates to set those good screens to allow him to get those good perimeter shots.
Livingston committing the personal. That's his fourth for Coach Fratello. Fratello obviously not happy with that call.
Right about now, you're coaching. You want everybody to play hard, but the one thing you don't want to do is get a technical, because that's really throwing money out the window.
Number 32, Kevin McHale, his first personal foul.
So it's a tough and an unsuccessful turnaround by the Atlanta Hawks coming off that Detroit series. A double overtime game, and it was an exhausting, grueling war in Game 5. Hawks prevailed, but make no mistake about it, they will play much better as this series continues to unfold. This is a young, talented team having a bad day. Webb missing. Hastings staying with it. Score the field goal. They gave Hastings the field goal, and he was fouled.
That was a gift by Hugh Hollins, because there's no way that was a continuation play. But again, we see Spud Webb looking to penetrate, looking for his own points. For him to be an outstanding player and contribute to his ball club, as we saw last week, Brent, the man had 18 assists against the Pistons. That's the way he's got to look at it. You know, that's why people get out and run with him at the break, because they know he'll give the ball up. You hate to see him getting in a bad habit here, looking for the shot too much. They hit a triple teaming, Dominique.
And Hastings.
You see the ball movement there? Wasn't crisp. Standing around flat-footed. No one even looking to come and make themselves as available as an outlet for Dominique.
7:30 to go. Hastings coming up after he drew the foul. Well, McHale's third personal. He also has led the way scoring-wise for the Celtics with 24 points. 16 by Bird, 16 by Dennis Johnson.
So you think it's going to be the Lakers against the Celtics when it gets smoke clears?
Right? I really went out on a limb, didn't I, with that one?
I'll tell you what.
That's like Jimmy the Greek could make that prediction.
Well, I'll tell you what. You and the Greek, what a duo.
Right.
But, you know, I watched that Houston ball club yesterday, and the development of Hakeem Olajuwon from one year to the next is just unbelievable. And the Lakers could have their hands full against that ball club. And Denver is not finished with them as well.
Well, I'll tell you, Houston's guards are going to have to play better than they have all year, I think, there, Billy, as the Hawks hit the rim and they forget to put the ball in, and here comes Ainge.
You know, what's that old saying? Some days you get the bear, and some days the bear gets you.
That's right.
Well, the bear got him.
But the beauty of a 7-game series is there is tomorrow if you lose number 1 in embarrassing fashion. Knocked away, another turnover, and again Seasting was looking down the floor for the open Celtics. Ainge had cut through. Now Walton will go to work on Hastings. Offensive foul. Backing in, that's the third on Bill. Contact. Returns for Coach Fratello. We've got a timeout. 6:33 to go, and still ahead of us this afternoon. Washington and Philadelphia. I'm Brent Musburger along with Billy Cunningham. And the Boston Celtics are dominating the Atlanta Hawks here in Game 1 of their Eastern Conference semifinal series. With 6:33 to go, Dominique Wilkins over there nursing what appears to be an injured left arm. 6:33 to go, and the score is 97-74. So we'll get a report from the Hawk bench. That's one thing you don't want to have happen in a Game 1, is have any kind of an injury.
Number 32, John Contact is back.
So Contact is in, and so too is Greg Kite for the Celtics, seeing his first appearance in the game. Contact puts it on the floor against Walton, and Bill came back, and the foul is called.
Just great recovery by Walton to get back into the play. Because when they swung the ball to Contact, he showed him the basketball, he left his feet a little bit, still was able to get back and almost blocked that shot cleanly.
Billy, I'm going to go back to the top of the broadcast today when I asked you whether the Celtics were as good as or better, and you said, in your opinion, because Larry Bird and Kevin McHale have more help off the bench, that it's a better team, and I agree with you now.
So you see where they are right now? Last year they weren't there during the playoffs. They were out there having to play 40, 45 minutes, 48 if it was in overtime, go the whole distance. that takes its toll because in the playoffs, emotions are more of a factor, and it's very draining. They don't have to be drained. They know that his teammates can really come in and add something to their ball club.
Wedman saved the miss by Walton. Comes off the shot. Battle. I'd like to see Lorenzo Charles out there for a few minutes, too. We haven't seen him much in the playoffs, and he's over there on the Hawk bench.
Well, I think you'll get him in around a minute and a half. Well, we'll see. We'll see if we can get Mike to throw him in there.
You want to send a little note over?
Yeah, one second. With John Sally's friend.
Yeah, right. Intercepted. And here comes Battle. And there's a shot of the Atlanta Hawk bench. They'll have a full day of meetings and practices coming up. And a look at K.C. Jones' bench, of course. We spot the assistant over there, Jimmy Rogers. He's a strong candidate for the GM job in Cleveland. They'll be underway down in the Spectrum. That's Game 5, Philadelphia and Washington, the winner to take on Milwaukee. And the rest of you will watch Game 1, the Lakers and Dallas. Billy, how about a little trivia for everybody? Since 1980, only 3 centers have won NBA championships. Can you name the centers? One hint, all 3 have also suffered defeats in the NBA championship series.
Is there a prize?
We'll give him a couple of seconds. Long enough, everybody should have known it. The answer is, of course, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 80, 82, and 85 with the Lakers.
Lost there.
Robert Parish in 81 and 84.
Lost there.
And Moses Malone with Philly in 83. Yeah. And he lost in 81 with Houston.
At least I got one out of there.
Seasting bringing it up against Webb. Hastings diving after the ball on Dennis Johnson. And Johnson took a blow when Hastings came over on him. He's running it off a little bit now.
Surprised me that Casey would bring Dennis back into ballgame. He's been sitting around on the bench there for quite a while, and I wouldn't be surprised though if Casey didn't ask him, would you like to get a couple more minutes, or left that decision up to himself, because it just surprises me that he's in when the game is over. Because when you're stiff, you can get those injuries.
Exactly. We had a check. Speaking of injuries, Billy, Dominique Wilkins, nothing serious. Said he banged his left arm. His feelings are hurt too. He's only 4 of 15 here this afternoon for 13 points.
It's only one other time this year that he has scored under 20 points, and that was against Houston after the All-Star break. So that's a lot of credit to the preparation by K.C. Jones for this ball club defensively, and the job that McHale and his teammates did out there.
And the Hawks keep possession with Johnny Davis replacing Webb. Well, one thing, Billy, the Atlanta Hawks kept the crowd out of this game.
Oh, they did a good job of that. Oh, gosh.
Paddle maneuvering.
You're right.
Wedman yanks it down.
Now, but K.C. Jones, you know, he's watching this game and he's enjoying it, you would think, and he's just going to have a nice dinner and relax and not have to worry about the Atlanta Hawks. He's scared to death over there after this game, because the first thing on his mind is, hey, are these guys going to think this is a cakewalk? What adjustments is Mike Fratello going to make offensively and defensively that we have to be ready for? Because on tomorrow morning, he's got to make sure he has these guys jacked up and at a certain level to go.
Well, I'll tell you, the difference in style really affected him, Billy, because Celtics are so much stronger underneath the glass than the Pistons are. And they go down there to McHale and Parish, and even Bird will post up with this team.
Yeah, and they hadn't seen anyone as a post-up player against Detroit, you know, a perimeter shooting team. When the Boston Celtics play, first thing is inside, and then we look for the jump shot when it comes back outside.
Well, Rick Carlisle returning for K.C. Jones. You know, we should point out over there on the Fratello bench with Atlanta, there is a figure missing, and that's Willis Reed, who became ill last night and could not make it for today's game. And Willis is being examined by a doctor here in Boston. The first report is it's nothing serious. And Willis is expected to be back here on a Tuesday night. One point I want to make about Fratello bringing in somebody like Willis Reed. Occasionally, a coach is very insecure, and he doesn't want to be surrounded with people like Willis Reed who've had head coaching experience. Fratello's a very secure man, and he brought Willis in to help with the young centers down in Atlanta, and he surrounded himself with a good staff.
Yeah, and another point, Brent, you know, when your contract is up at the end of a year to make a decision like that, that showed a great deal of, as you said, confidence in himself and his abilities as a coach.
That was Sam Vincent, number 11, who's also on the floor right now. Mop-up time. Carlisle on the drive. Carlisle traveled. It'll go over.
Rick Carlisle, you know, is a self-taught pianist, and during the summer months, he goes out and performs in nightclubs.
The Cincinnati Bengals had a football player, Mike Reed, who was a fine piano player out of Penn State. Davis gets it over to Livingston.
Can you play the piano?
No, I sure wish I could. I'll tell you, CBS had a great show last Sunday. I hope everybody saw Vladimir Horowitz over in the Soviet Union. Charles Kuralt was over. That's one of the best pieces of television I've seen in a long time. Here it's 97-84, and the Celtics are sending the Atlanta Hawks back to the drawing boards. There will be some different expressions around the hotel lobby on the part of the Hawks after this one.
It's one of these games you walk in and Mike Fratello is going to tell his team, hey, tomorrow we're going to have our heads ready to go to practice and have the concentration where we were last week. We'll forget about this one, have a nice dinner, but just be ready because we're going to get ourselves back in there and don't feel that this series is over. Now, it's going to be interesting today what kind of, you know, with the Philadelphia series, what kind of adjustments Philadelphia might have to make defensively with Jeff Rulin going into that, maybe playing more minutes because he was so productive in that last ball game. Because he really added another dimension to the Washington Bullets in the last ball game, especially with his passing.
Hey, you mentioned Bobby Jones going to call it a career at the end of the year. How about the Doc? What do you think he's going to do, Billy?
Doc will play again. You know, we're sitting here talking about it, but we have a game that if they come down and score here is a 10-point basketball game. The Celtics have not scored a field goal in a few minutes now.
Davis. Walton lost it. That's a traveling violation.
Now, this is a tough decision for Mike Fratello. Now, all of a sudden, you're down 12 points. There is an outside chance. You can hit a few three-point shots, get yourself back into the basketball game. Do you bring your bench into your starters back into the ball game or stay with your subs?
We'll be right back in Boston. Minute 50, 98-86. The Celtics leading the Hawks. And, of course, this is game one. And the Celtics under Red Auerbach, well, they've won 15 world championships. And do you realize it was 20 years ago that Red coached his last game here in Boston? But he continues to be the dominant force in this franchise. And he is the man who had the presence of mind to draft one Larry Bird the year before he left Indiana State. He's seated next to Don Gaston, who's the chairman of the Celtic board. And, of course, Red has the most victories ever in the playoff. And look at who's number two. Billy Cunningham with 66. You may have to go back and add a few to that total.
Oh, no. Oh, no. This is close enough. I like to be on this side of the floor. Watch it. I don't want to be on the other side where Mike Fratello and Casey Jones are.
Well, you know, the Celtics have not scored a field goal here in 7 minutes, as you pointed out. And Casey Jones will stick with his bench here for the last minute 50.
Remember that game Philadelphia lost in the opening round to Washington, up 17 points, end up losing the ball game.
Hastings missing the three-pointer. Davis with control. Davis off the drive. Height comes down with it.
And he should have known better than that, playing on that World Championship team with Walton out in just, what was that, 76, 77?
77.
Great basketball team.
Sure was. Vincent and David third kill on the floor, along with Carlisle, Walton, and Kite. That's a third foul on Battle.
His third personal foul. First in the last 2 minutes on Atlanta.
Are they just going to, excuse me, Brent, I'm surprised they're not coming out and looking to double him. Well, didn't have to. There's the steal by Johnny Davis.
Davis comes down. 10-point game. Celtics were favored by 10 points in this game. We've got a minute 12 to play. And the reason they were favored by that many is because of the grueling game Atlanta played on Friday night and then traveled in here and taking on the Celtics on such a short turnaround.
Rick Carlisle has 2 shots.
Now, Rick Carlisle is not what you would call a great foul shooter, shooting 65%. And I assure you, if Kite gets the ball, Greg Kite, who's shooting only 38%, when Atlanta gets back on defense, they'll foul him immediately. But you notice the one thing about this bench, and I'm sure Coach Vitello will mention to his team tomorrow, is how well they've moved the basketball and how hard they've come out here and worked defensively. But then again, they do have fresh legs, and they did not get the minutes that the starters got in that game against Detroit.
Celtics up by 11. Knocked out of bounds by Koncak. Boston's ball. 5 seconds on the shot clock.
5 seconds. Celtics 5 seconds.
Hard to believe the Celtics have not scored 100 points until then.
And Vincent puts him over.
Yeah.
At 101 with 30 seconds to go. A 3-point play. And it's back to 10 on that shot by Hastings.
I wonder if Sam will go home and watch his brother playing there for Dallas.
Third kill missing, and it winds up in the hands of Livingston. And he got it to Carlisle. He thought Davis was over on his left. So that's 2 fouls on Hastings with time running out.
Foul was on number 44. Scott Hastings, his second.
101-91 is our score.
Penalty situation.
And Carlisle is at the free throw line.
The Celtics has 2 shots.
That's an 11-point lead.
Not much more you can say. Just a great effort by the Celtics at the defensive end of the court and really allowed them to get out and get some easy baskets at the other end of the court.
12-point lead. And Kite steals the ball in the corner, and the Celtics beat Atlanta by 12 points. Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics open up a 1-game lead on the Atlanta Hawks. Kevin Willis played extremely well for the Hawks in defeat today. He led the way for the losers with 18. Key man for the Celtics was Kevin McHale with 24 points. We'll be back here in the Boston Garden. But right now, let's go down to the Spectrum, and here's Dick